Hello, everybody, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're going to talk about China Robinson and Andraya Carter talking about how they supposedly had to walk a fine line just to talk about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark. So, hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next video. Rob, as I was looking at this video, China Robinson was there and interviewing Andraya Carter, and I think Carolyn Peck was there, but I didn't see what she had to say about this and the analysis. But when I looked at that and I saw the three black females, and I remember there's also Monica McNutt,
Ellie,
and Chine Agumake. Mm-hmm. And you'll notice all five are black females. And in the WNBA, it's mostly black, but it's 20% white. And a third of the greatest players of all time in the WNBA are white. So it's not like it's devoid of white players, but yet they had no analysis by anybody that was white. They had five black females. And I think that's what bothered me, was that it would have been okay if they were objective. Mm-hmm. They were all on the same agenda. So like if someone did have tribalism going on, Rob, there was no one to push back and at least challenge them on that. So all of them were saying the same thing, all pretending Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese were the same ability level. And Caitlin Clark did not have the big effect that she did on the popularity of the WNBA, and that basically that she wasn't being targeted when she was. All of them had the same agenda to pretend all those things. And the problem was, I have no problem them hiring non-whites, but when it was 5 out of 5 and there was no pushback, I guess that's what bothered people. I call them overly woke. Call them woke. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I watched the video too, Mark, and that's a good analogy. I'm going like, okay, you're trying to be objective about what you're talking about, but you got to have some kind of like, at least why didn't they have a white person in there and get a perspective from how they felt about the Caitlin Clark thing and injuries, and they seem to all be whining about how they were getting picked on and how they were doing, but all of them were always downgrading how Caitlin Clark wasn't that good, and so when they got kickback from that, they figured, oh, they're against us. Oh, why are they saying that?
And it shouldn't matter what race they are, but they made it matter by all having the same take and the same tribalism. Rebecca Lobo does analysis also. She happens to be biracial, just so you know. Her mother is English and her dad is Cuban. So that's kind of Spanish, black, and Cuban. Anyways, but she was more level-headed. She didn't have this big tribalism going on, other than some tribalism towards UConn sometimes. Anyways, but they didn't have anyone there to balance them out. And like I said, it wouldn't have mattered if some of them didn't have the tribalism in terms of their takes. There was more balance. And so they were complaining about the pushback they got from the Caitlin Clark fans, basically. And LaShawn Robinson, who I didn't really hear much of analysis by her because she's the host. She usually asks the questions. She said she was called every name in the book and she wasn't used to that and racist. And then she asked Andraya Carter, and Andraya Carter talked about, how they had to introduce other players and talk about the other players in the league, which, by the way, no one else does. When they ask David Stern about Michael Jordan, David Stern would talk about Michael Jordan because that's what the question was about. He didn't feel obligated to talk about the other players in the league unless it related to that question. No one else does that except on ESPN and the WNBA, where they feel like they always got to bring in these other players in terms of the history and the other players. They just feel they had to do that. Why? Because they thought Caitlin Clark was getting too much attention. That was the real reason, Rob. There wasn't any other reason besides that.
Well, plus she stated that she was like, she wanted to talk about other things going on in the league. Well, then, okay, how about talking about the referees and how horrible they were, and how talking about the flagrant fouls in there? She never mentioned that at all. She never they never ever got into that.
Rob, it was our imagination that Caitlin Clark was targeted and that the women in the WNBA hated her. That was just it. All there was one incident. Kennedy Carter, that was it. That was the only incident. Everything else was our imagination.
Right. Did you hear anything? Did you hear her say anything about that or the other flagrant fouls? Not just on Caitlin Clark, but just the play, the physical play of the league.
They did when Angel Reese got ripped down by Alyssa Thomas, that was a big deal to them.
Right.
Anyways, Andrea Carter did answer the question about, walking the fine line with China Robinson. And she said that she felt, she had to bring other players into the discussion because she wanted to stay authentic and true to myself and give credit to other players in the league. And again, she wanted to be authentic in basketball analysis and not letting people convince me that it's personal when I know it's not. Now, the problem is it was personal for her. It was personal to stick up for black lesbians in the league. And it wasn't authentic. They were lying. They were lying in their analysis, Rob. And that's what it was. It was incorrect what they were saying in terms of Caitlin Clark's influence, in terms of her being equal to Angel Reese, in terms of her influence on the league. They downplayed all of that. And that's why we gave her a hard time. And she said that, she said one quote about the Olympic team. She goes, I got to be true to myself in terms of credibility as analysis. No, you did just the opposite when you gave all these reasons why Caitlin Clark shouldn't have been the Olympic team. So you did just the opposite of being authentic and being credible. And that's what the problem is. She didn't realize.
She didn't realize. Yeah, exactly, Mark. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, she didn't realize she wasn't true to herself. When she was true to herself and with a really objective analysis, she would have looked at this and said, okay, well, Caitlin Clark obviously is a better player than Reese is a good player, but Caitlin Clark obviously is heads and shoulders above her. She would never say that. She couldn't say that because she's into that club, that tribalism.
She was true to herself in terms of keeping the tribalism that she felt she had to go forward with.
Exactly.
She was true to the black lesbians in the league or anyone but Caitlin Clark, but she wasn't true to what the truth was. And that's what the problem was. And that's why you got criticism, and racist comments shouldn't be there. But, when it's the tribalism is this strong, I will say that your analysis was racist. I will say that.
Or if not racist, definitely one-sided, towards another player. But I mean, that player just happened to be black. So I mean, people are going to interpret like, well, geez, why aren't they talking about this? Why is she not talking about this white player? She seems to be talking about only this black player and how great she is and her rebounds and her double-doubles.
When white analysis people, some do something and they overrate a white person, they go, you guys are being racist. So how is this not racist then? I don't see the difference. That's just the way I look at it. I'm not harping on that so much as I'm harping on the fact that it was all of them saying the do thing, and they didn't give balanced presentation, which is not good because some people just listen to the ESPN. They don't really get other sources. They're not listening to independent YouTube channels like ours or other people, and they're not getting the right perspective on, some pushback on that. Maybe that analysis is wrong and people need to hear that. And it's important for them to have balance on their show, and they didn't have it. And that's why they got so much pushback. And they
can't have it because I think if one of them did speak out, like I told you again, meeting in the ladies' room, you got to stick with us. We can't be saying that.
Al Duncan couldn't even criticize Cheryl Swoops without having apologized 3 times, Rob.
Right.
Even though criticism was pretty lame. And that's just all it is. That it's not conducive to good analysis and fair analysis. And that's why people were upset. And that's why people gave you a hard time on social media. Maybe if you were honest, they wouldn't give you a hard time so much. I'm not advocating or condoning any racist comments or anything like that, or really rude comments. But anything that criticized them fairly, guess what? You deserve it because you were wrong in this case, and your analysis wasn't fair.
No,
and that's just what it amounts to. And too bad you had to walk a fine line. If you were being honest, you wouldn't have to walk a fine line so much.
Right, I don't understand that. We mean walk a fine. What does that mean by walk a fine line? If you say something towards Clark, that you might get criticized by black people, so you might get just the opposite. Like, oh my gosh, how come you're not staying with the sister girl? What's wrong with you? You ain't down with us. Why aren't you down with us, Andrea?
Well, what they're really saying is, well, I shouldn't criticize Angel Reese too much. I'll be accused of being biased towards Angel Reese, which you were. That's why you had to walk a fine line, okay? That's what they mean by that. Like, I'm not supposed to give the sisters some props. I got to be careful not to do that. Yeah, if you do it too much, yes, you do got to be careful. You always have to walk a fine line when you're doing color analysis in sports. So don't give me this drama that got to walk a fine line like it's different for you for anybody else. You always have to walk a fine line. If you're being fair and objective, you don't have to worry about that line because it automatically comes out in your analysis, which is it didn't. And that's what they don't realize. Anyways.
As we said,
So stop it. Stop it when you're the victim, when you're really at fault here.
You brought it on yourself. You bring it on yourself. You bring it on yourself and want to cry. Oh, poor me. They're picking on me.
That's my take, and I'm sticking to it, Rob. Let us know what you think down below.
Too. Yeah.
Let us know what you think down below. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do. If you like this video, hit the like button. And please join us for our live show. It's every Monday except for major holidays, 6 to 8 Eastern time. You can call in for that show, so it's pretty cool. And if you want to donate to this channel, there's super chats and super thanks down below. And there's a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.